Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. So in this video we're going to be talking about all things book jewelry or book bling or junk journal jewelry, whatever you want to call it. So this is how this is going to work. I have my jewelry bits and pieces over here. So when I'm talking about the best things to look for when you're thrifting or shopping in your own house, really, I can pull out from here and show you examples. I also have a list of ideas over here that we're going to go through. And then I also have a whole bunch of journals that I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to show you specific examples when I'm talking about when we're going through that list. I will pull journals out and I'll show you specifically what I'm talking about. So the aim of this video is to inspire you, to give you more ideas. I know that you already have your own ideas and you've already probably been using, you know, bling and jewelry in your books, but hopefully this will give you extra ideas and get you even more excited about using jewelry in junk journals. All right, so let's jump straight in, shall we? Alright, so first thing on the list is mini charms on a paper clip to clip onto pages. Very straightforward, very simple. We've all been using it so far, but if you haven't, basically what you need to look for is, let's say for example this necklace over here. Then you can see that each bead is on one of these, what are they called? I don't know the correct names, but straight away what I can see from this is that these are very easily attached onto, they have a ring on them, so they can be attached on a paper clip very easily. So also, for example, this, something like this, it has its own little ring, so it can very easily go onto a paper clip. Even a necklace like this, look at all of these dangly bits. They all have a little attached little ring, jump ring I think it's called, that you can remove, and then that can be used to put it through a paper clip. So basically I've got some that I've removed over here, and I hope that you can see this. They all have a little jump ring that I can now take. Let's take this one for example, it's beautiful. I can take that and just put it on a paper clip, and I have a charm ready to go. So when I'm using them in my journals, I'll just show you some examples. Okay, let's take this journal for an example. You can see I have a charm over here, and then I've got one over here, and I've got one over here. So in this case, I am using some bulky charms because they are hanging off the page. If I wanted to put a charm on a shorter page, let's say for example, let me just find. Okay, so here you can see that this page is much shorter than the other pages. So if I wanted to put a charm on this page, I wouldn't use a bulky charm like this one here. Let me just put it in, because then it's in the middle of the book and it's going to be in the way for all of the other pages. It's right there, right? So if I wanted to put a charm on a shorter page, I would use a flat little something. So maybe one of these, so that it's sitting flat on the page. So in this case, I think, you know, when you're looking at these charms, I think they add so much interest. I really enjoy putting charms on pages like this. And I think you will find in most of my journals, it might even be like in this case, it's just one charm, one little charm that I'm hanging here on the side. I've added my own little beads there. So it's very quick and easy process. I have these waiting, so when I'm making a journal, I will go into my little box of charms that have already been removed, and I will simply just grab a paper clip, loop it on, and I have a charm ready to go to clip onto a page. Okay, next up we have a bookmark. So this is my pathetic drawing of what it's supposed to look like, but bookmarks are their own category, but it's still bling in a junk journal, which is why I included it. So I just want to show you this one. You can see here I have a bookmark. So basically I like this one to be, let's just find it, where is it? So it will just sit in a book like this. It doesn't have to be a bookmark. You don't necessarily have to be moving it around. It can just be there to look nice, basically. So, and then you have a little dangle. This is really hard when I can't actually show you how it looks from, here we go. And then you have a little dangle just hanging there. In this particular journal, I actually like to have it in between the signatures like this, and then hanging a little lower like this. So I really like that. Okay, so I just recently completed this journal, and this is the bookmark I made for it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it for this journal. So basically, when you're making a bookmark, whatever you're using, if you're using a piece of cord like this, or ribbon, or whatever it is that you're using, the best thing to do obviously is to know what journal you're going to use it for, to measure the height of the journal, because you don't want it to be sort of too long. Let's see this one. I mean, it can be. So this one's a bit longer, and still when I put it in, let's have a look. It still looks quite nice, even though it's longer. See? But this one here, I've done kind of perfect size. So I personally really like this bookmark. The only thing is, obviously, if you want it to sit on a shelf, maybe this will get in the way, the bottom part of the bookmark. But especially, you know, if it's chunky like this. If it's not chunky, if it's little and petite like this one, then it's not really going to matter. So some different ways of doing it is, you know, you have your cord and then you have beads on each end. So I actually tied knots there and there, and then beaded my beads, and then you know, just tied more knots and trimmed this off. This one here I used, I always forget what they're called. I think they are called alligator clips or alligator mouth. They look like this, these things. So they're really cool because they can just grab onto a piece of ribbon, and then you have this little loop here, and then you can attach anything to it. So and that looks really, really gorgeous in a journal, adds a lot of character. And then something like this as well. So there's lots of fun things that we can do with bookmarks. And then once again, when you're attaching things, you can use beads obviously to loop it on, and then you can, same thing as previous idea, I guess, when you're using bits of jewelry that have these little loops that can then be attached to anything. So that's one thing to look for. These little these are, what are they? They're like little beads, but they have these loops. So I can attach them to anything really, and all I need is a jump ring. If you would like to see me actually make these, or anything that I mentioned today, anything in particular, if you would like for me to actually do a tutorial on it, please let me know. Okay, so next thing I've got here is to clip it directly onto the spine. So you can use a bulldog clip, a large paper clip, a brad, and okay, so basically this is a bulldog clip. I'm sure someone will you know, tell me that I'm wrong and that's not the correct name. So whatever whatever you want to call it, these things, right? And most of them have these little loops at the top, and then you can clip anything into it, and you can use that to clip it onto anywhere on your journal. Let's say, for example, you can have it sitting here, and then, well, I said clip it onto spine, so let's just stick with clipping it onto the spine. So it can be clipped onto the spine. I know it's difficult for me to show you from this angle, but we're trying to find ways of, you know, getting things onto books. So on this journal, I have it just sitting here, and it's one of these ones that can close like this all the way, and you can attach anything right there and have it hanging off your cover or off your spine. In case if you wanted to add it to the spine, you might have to do it before sewing in your signatures. Okay, so I just also wanted to show you these large paper clips over here. So basically I took this off of a necklace, so it was already made. That's one thing I sort of look for. If there's a lot of little dangly bits, or if there's large bits from those large hanging necklaces that already have a cluster of beauty like this, I will grab it, because I don't have to do any extra work. I don't actually have to put these beads on, it's already done for me. Same over here as well. This came directly off of a necklace, and you know, I get all of these things from really cheap, from like op shops and stuff like that. So, and I think that they look amazing in journals. So for example, I think for this journal, something like this would go really well. So let's have a look. I just clip it right in between those signatures there or wherever, and voila, like that looks really beautiful and gorgeous. I think I just love it so much. So something like that, and it's very easy, and it looks like a lot of work, but actually it's not at all. So in this case, I'll just turn this over like this. You can see this little blingity bling over here, and the way that that's attached is by just a large paper clip. So I have a paper clip, and then I've attached things onto it. So this came directly off of a necklace. That's how it actually looked on the necklace. It was the dangly part. So I just literally took it off and attached it to a button, and then I put it through the paper clip. It doesn't, and then basically it just goes onto the spine of the book. I put it in between of the signatures, so you can see the signatures here, and then there's space in between, and I just put it in there. Another thing I wanted to show you over here, brand and picture hangings. So I have this journal here. It's not complete, but can you see this in the spine? If you can attach this on all of your journals, and you'll always have something there to quickly clip something onto it, right? So for example, let's say this little bling, and I've got one of these, what are they called? I forgot. Doesn't matter. So I clip them in, and that's it. It's already on there, and it looks beautiful. So I just want to show you, you can get these picture hangings at, you know, $2 shops, and really cheap. And then all you need is a brad, so something like this, or whatever, you know, you like. You want it to be able to go through the hole. This one might be a little bit too big, but I think you get the idea. And you attach it to your spine, and then you can do that during the making of the spine. And once you sew in all of your signatures and everything, clipping that on will be your last step. And it's, you know, it can be moved out of the way, because this can be lifted up, so when you're writing, it's not in your way. Okay, so I already, over here in idea number 4, I've written down part of a tassel. I already have a tassel video, or how to make tassel, something like that. I will link it down below if you want to have a look. But let's say, for example, when you're making a tassel, let's say I've got a tassel over here. It's just one that I made ages ago. And then you can have, again, anything that you can use to attach anything onto anything else will work. So I don't know, let's try this one. It can be part of your tassel. You can attach it as part of your tassel. So that doesn't look the best, but I'm trying to demonstrate just to give you some ideas. So maybe up there on the bulb pin, and that looks much better like that. So then we have a tassel, we have a bit of jewelry, bit of bling over here, and then a little something over here. And I think it just adds so much beauty to a journal. And of course, the best part is also that it can be removed if you don't like, or if the person that purchases your journals doesn't like things, you know, they can just remove them all. So, and put them where they like them, kind of thing. And also I wanted to show you over here as well, on this journal, I just have a little hole that I punched in the spine, and then added beads. And that's like a part, you know, it can be like a bead tassel, I guess, and I can move it out of the way so it's not in my way when writing. So that's another idea that I'm sure you've seen before. All right, so number 5, binding. So this is mainly using beads to attach into the binding. Okay, so here are just some examples. So basically this is done during the binding process. So I'm just quickly going to demonstrate. This one here, I followed Jenny Belly's tutorial. I can't remember what it was, but it's just wrapping the beads around the spine. and it's kind of like twine binding. I have twine binding tutorial on my channel. It's just adding beads during the binding process, but I'll demonstrate this just as an example. Okay, so just quickly, because I won't have enough time, but let's say, for example, this is my journal and I'm binding my journal now. And if you want to, usually I bind my journal I start from the inside, which means that my hangy bits are inside. When you want to add beads to the binding, you want to start from the outside. So let's say, for example, this journal is just going to be one signature, and I'm just going to have one dangly piece. If you want to have something like this one here, then you know this journal has 5 signatures, right? So okay, so just for demonstration purposes, I now have my ends over here on the outside, and now I'm just simply going to put some beads on there. That's to have them hanging like this. That's all it is, right? You can see here I tied it off, and then I just added some beads. Another thing you can do, if you want your beads hanging from the top rather than the middle, then it just means you might want to start sewing your signature in from the top rather than the middle. And then just where would I go? I would go then into the next hole, and then go into the next hole, and then go back through the middle hole, and then I'm up here, and then I would just tie my knot up here, and I would tie an actual knot. I'm not going to do it now because I'll need this, but and then, you know, just hang your beads. Beautiful. Also, if you want to do it as part of the binding of the actual, like over here, for example, the way that I would do it is I would start from the inside, and now I have my string here. I will put on some beads. Okay, I just got some large chunky beads just to demonstrate. Let's start again. So I start from the inside, and then I'm out here. I'm gonna put on some beads, however many you want. I go back inside. Right, I've got some beads on my spine. You don't want chunky beads because they might be in the way when you open your journal and have it, you know, if you want to have it lying flat. So I've added some beads. So maybe just keep that sort of thing in mind if you think that it will, you know, get in your way. And then you have some beads in the spine, and we're just going to tie this off over here in the middle. Okay, so this is, you know, assuming that you know the very simple 3 pamphlet stitch, which is what I've just done, and then simply adding the beads. So once again, let me know, I hope that I'm making sense when I'm explaining these. Look at these, just adding the beads. Looks gorgeous. So, but you know, if you have any questions, please do let me know down below. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is clothespin attached to the cover. All right, so over here we have some clothespins or safety pins. So this is what they look like. All right, so if you can find ones without this little loop, even better. I couldn't find any without the loop. So what you can do, what I've done over here on this large one, is I've attached all of these different little things. So I made sure to attach them onto the part that doesn't open up, because if you attach all of your things onto this part, as soon as you open it up, everything is going to just fall off. So I just attached it all onto the other part, and now I have this, and I could use this on a cover or attach it onto a cover just like this, you know, sew it on or something like that, because it's a large one. The little ones here, you can the little ones, I actually see this one here, these ones are actually, I didn't do these, I bought these. They were bracelets. Somebody made a bracelet, a huge bracelet with all of these. And the problem with this is it's very difficult for me to use this because it's got all of these beads and I can't actually attach it onto anything. So I can't, you know, attach it because all of the beads are there, so it's not going in anywhere. The only thing that I can do is maybe hang that onto something, or you know, I can make that into some sort of a charm like that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But the way that I would attach, let's say for example, these little ones, so you can have a little something hanging there, a few little different charms or something like that, or even through that loop, and then you can attach it into your journal. Let's say for example, this journal, I've got some tabs happening, so all of the tabs already have a little something on them, but I wouldn't, you know, necessarily want to add more stuff. But let's say for example, just, you know, like that, attach it onto that tab, and you have a little something with some beads here, you know, just a little bit of bling, I guess. So it's just an idea using the safety pins. So anything that can attach onto anything, and anything that can attach onto the thing that's being attached will work. So, you know, hopefully the ideas are flowing. Okay, so the next thing I've got over here is a bulb pin. So a bulb pin is, these are bulb pins. A lot of people use these in their journals. Here we go. And they're like those safety pins, but they're much better because there's none of that problem that I was talking about before. So you can just loop anything onto that. You can put a little bead through it, or, you know, whatever you want really. And then let's see over here. I'll just show you over here. On this very first page, I made a little tab, and then I've got a little, what's it called? I remember, it's called an eyelet. So I just put a little eyelet through this tab here, and then I put a little dangly, just a little one of those little bells onto a bulb pin, and that's attached there. You can attach it anywhere. You can attach it on ribbons, and, you know, on over here as well, or, you know, over here as well. Anyway, really, so they're very versatile, and you can use it for a lot of different things. So even little beads can go on there. And another thing that's just crossed my mind, you might have seen, if you watched my videos, you might have seen me using these. It's such a simple idea, and it looks so effective in a journal. It's just a paper clip, and I put in a little gold bead up the top. It looks beautiful. It's a simple little idea, but it makes such a huge difference, huge, from this to this. Just adds so much more interest. So you can do the same with these bulb pins. I've also used a bulb pin over here. I have a full tutorial on using these envelope security envelopes and making little junk journals, and I have just attached a little tassel up here right there on the corner using the bulb pin. So very versatile, the little bulb pins. Last thing I've got on this list, and obviously, by the way, this list definitely not an exhaustive list. We can keep going on and on and on, but I'm over here, I'm using a chain closure. So on this chain here, I can attach anything I want. I can have all sorts of little things hanging there. I just decided not to, because it's already got, you know, a whole lot of things, and this journal is very, very heavy. But let's say, for example, I have, this is a bracelet. This over here that I just showed you, it's just a necklace. And I attached it again on this side using that alligator mouth clip, whatever it's called. I don't know, I forgot again. And then over here, I just attached it to the bulldog clips. So then they can be opened and closed, you know. And it looks pretty cool like that. I like that. So then over here, I have this little charm bracelet. All right, so what we can do over here is I have some of these little, oh, I don't want to use green and red. It's not Christmas, is it? Let's say green and green. So these ones here, I love, because these can be taken out. Then you can loop anything onto it and put it back in. And then I would use, I mean, I probably wouldn't use a green color, but it's just what I have on hand at the moment. Then I would do the same thing on the other side. And that's an instant closure. So let's say, for example, let's pretend this journal doesn't have a closure. And I can just go from here to here. This bracelet could be shortened, it's too large. Let's see, hang on, how am I going to show you? And then you have this chain closure, which when I remove my hand, they're all just going to fall in and not be able to be seen. But you know, when it's sitting on a shelf like this, looks gorgeous. Okay, so be on the lookout for chains and necklaces and all sorts of things like that, especially ones that have, you know, little things that are very easily removed, that are looped on, that have little loops, and especially ones that are large and have lots of things on them, like this, or like this bracelet. And then necklaces, these ones, I have 3 of them. They came off directly off of a necklace. They just had a black thing, and I found them at some op shop, and they were very cheap. So I grabbed them, and they're ready to be put onto something, and they look very rustic and vintagey and beautiful. So I hope that I've given you, you know, some ideas. Look at this one, key ring that can go into a journal. I hope you feel inspired. I hope that, you know, you like it, I guess. So if you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, before I forget, I just am going to place this over here if you want to take a screenshot. You know, if you forget some ideas and you like to just have it somewhere where you can refer back to the sheet and have a look at what you can do in a junk journal in terms of adding jewelry and bling, it's right there for you to take a screenshot. All right, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.